They say diamonds are forged under pressure.
I got knocked down, I've climbed back up. Like I said before, man, this is my belt. I earned this in blood. I paid in full. This is mine.
If there's anyone who knows what pressure feels like, it's a man who's had 3 cracks at winning the big one, but never quite made it.
I think one day when the smoke clears and I'm really done fighting, I can look back and be proud of everything. You know?
For nearly 2 decades, Dustin Poirier chased greatness.
Dustin Poirier has knocked out Conor McGregor!
The man fought so many legends, he eventually became one. He beat world-class fighters like Michael Chandler.
He got it tight. He got it. Dustin Poirier submits Michael Chandler in
Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje.
Dustin Poirier knockout!
He even had Lil Wayne walk him out to the Octagon during his last bout. But he never won the undisputed UFC title.
And still!
I'm forever in debt to the fans, the company, Mixed Martial Arts, has taught me everything I know.
This is the story of a kid from Lafayette who just so happens to be the greatest UFC fighter to never win the big one. Born and raised in Lafayette, Louisiana, Dustin's childhood was rough. His parents split when he was just 5, and he and his 2 brothers were raised by their mother and grandmother. School never clicked for him, and the streets pulled harder. Fights were a regular part of his days. By 8th grade, the trouble caught up to him. Skipping class, brawling, and even joyriding his mom's van landed him a month in juvenile detention. A few months later, a boot camp-style program tried to straighten him out, but by 16, Dustin had dropped out of high school altogether. Amid the chaos, he found an outlet: combat sports. He dabbled in boxing and wrestling as a kid, starting as early as 7, but at 18 he threw himself into MMA. Fighting gave him structure and, more importantly, purpose. Through it all, one person believed in him: his childhood sweetheart Jolie. While he was locked up, she wrote him letters every week. Besides his mother, she was one of the only people who reached out. When Dustin walked free, Jolie was there waiting. In that moment, he knew he'd marry her someday.
Only letters I would get was her. And when I got out of juvenile detention, she was there. She drove all the way out, to watch me leave and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm gonna marry this girl.
Wow. Having someone who believed in him when he'd lose faith in himself grounded Dustin. And he credits Jolie's love as a major reason that he was able to pursue an MMA career instead of falling back into trouble. The 2 married in 2009 when Dustin was 20, the same year he made his professional debut. It was a busy year for Poirier. Before he even married Jolie in September, the man had 7 amateur fights, 3 pro fights, and finished 9 of those 10. It was clear from the get-go that the kid from Louisiana was a stud with powerful boxing and a knack for submissions. No management, just him, Jolie, and a beat-up pickup truck driving from fight to fight in rodeo arenas. His life was training and working side jobs to chase a wild dream. The relentless grind caught the attention of some filmmakers, and a documentary crew followed him through the Louisiana fight scene. The world got its first glimpse of Poirier in Fightville. In that film, he said it plainly: "I want to be the best 155-pound fighter in the world." He wasn't there yet, but you could see the hunger. In 2010, he got a call from the WEC, a feeder league to the UFC. Unfortunately, Poirier lost his WEC debut against a tough wrestler named Danny Castillo, marking his first loss. But he didn't quit.
Danny Lasco Castillo.
3 months later, he came back with a vengeance: a first-round TKO over Zach Mickelreich.
He is hurt. He is hurt. That's it. That's it.
Dustin. The Diamond Poirier.
Man, I have a huge respect for him. I had a huge amount of respect for him before I even got in this cage with him tonight,
Then the WEC merged with the UFC.
We purchased the WEC. We started these, getting these lighter weight guys exposure on television.
And just like that, Dustin Poirier was part of the world's biggest fight promotion. He took his UFC debut on short notice, January 1st, 2011, at UFC 125. It was a huge opportunity under the big lights. He stepped in against Josh Grisby, a future title contender whom Dustin beat from pillar to post. With that unanimous decision win and a UFC bonus, a diamond was starting to take shape.
Huge victory tonight
After making waves in his UFC debut, Dustin Poirier went on a tear. At featherweight, he became known for one thing: fireworks. Fight of the night, submission of the night.
Can he finish it? It is all over!
Performance bonuses rolling in.
A really skilled and dangerous opponent. You did a fantastic job here tonight, and you secured a Darce choke for the victory.
He put away the future featherweight king Max Holloway in Holloway's UFC debut with a mounted triangle armbar.
It is all over!
Brilliant.
Dustin the Diamond Poirier!
Like something out of a movie.
He's been training since he was like 15 or 16, so he's been kickboxing for a while. You know, a lot of people didn't know about him, but I took him very serious. I trained for him as if I was training for Anderson Silva. You know, this is
Even his losses were bangers. His 2012 war with the Korean Zombie was an instant classic.
His life to fighting, and the zombie chants raining down, and the fan favorite follows through with it. Darce choke right now. He can finish this. This is the choke that has used. Korean Zombie just finished him with his own choke.
Dustin was fearless, but that fearlessness also had a downside.
You know, it's what I wanted. I wanted a great fight, and I'm going to learn a lot from it, but I'm supposed to win.
He fought emotional and sometimes reckless. So when a brash young Irishman named Conor McGregor arrived in 2014, that emotional fire burned out of control.
146 for Conor McGregor.
Poirier's rivalry with Conor is the most high-profile of his career, and this was just their first time meeting inside the Octagon. McGregor got under Poirier's skin like nobody before him.
September 27th, I'm gonna rip Dustin's head clean off. You know, it makes no difference about nothing. Just a little pea head.
Trash talk, taunts, personal jabs, to the point Dustin even admitted,
I've never disliked somebody that much that I'm ever fought.
he stepped into the cage angry, distracted, and desperate to shut Conor's mouth, and it cost him. Less than 2 minutes in, he got clipped, dropped, and finished.
Having a conversation, looking to finish the fight. It is all over, just like that.
The biggest fight of his career ended in humiliation. He was devastated, embarrassed, and questioned everything. He later admitted he even thought that might have been it for him and that he'd hit his ceiling in the sport. But instead of breaking him, that loss and pressure forced him to make a choice. He would either break or shine. After the McGregor fight, Dustin realized he was tired of draining himself down to 145 and fighting emotionally. So he decided to move up a weight class to 155 pounds. A new division, a new mindset, and a fresh start.
He might be out. There it is. Dustin Poirier.
Nobody knew it yet, but this was the moment the Diamond really started to shine.
Knockout Dustin the Diamond Poirier.
Look, man, the difference between him at 45 and 55 is pretty significant.
When Dustin moved up to lightweight, everything changed. No more brutal weight cuts, no more distractions. For the first time, he was fighting at his peak.
Big body shot. Not sure Madera's going to be able to recover from this. That'll do it. Dustin Poirier rises again.
The results told a story. He tore through Bobby Green, Anthony Pettis, Justin Gaethje, Eddie Alvarez, and Dan Hooker. Classic after classic, violence every step of the way. His 2018 war with Gaethje was pure chaos.
To left and a right. He's got to at least punch, catch one, and Gaethje said it would be hard for Poirier to be patient with me.
Justin hacked his legs to pieces, but Poirier kept firing back.
Nice combination. Gaethje can take damage to the head, okay, but some significant swelling in and around that right knee.
Round after round, until he knocked Gaethje out cold. It was the fight of the year for a reason. Two legends leaving it all in the cage.
Dustin the Diamond Poirier.
He avenged a no contest with Eddie Alvarez by finishing him emphatically in the rematch.
Look at this. What a warrior, Eddie Alvarez. That's the Poirier finish.
And fight by fight, he evolved. He was less reckless and became more precise. Dustin wasn't just brawling anymore. He was thinking, adjusting, and punishing his opponents. By then, it wasn't just about him. He had become a father, and he launched the Good Fight Foundation to help kids in need back in Lafayette. Every bonus check meant supplies, wells, and hope. He was fighting for more than glory. crowds knew it too. If Poirier was on the card, you were guaranteed a war. The bonuses stacked up, and the arena shook every time his music hit. Then came April 2019, his shot at gold.
Official weight 154.5!
An interim title fight against Max Holloway.
Official weight 155 for the King of Hawaii!
7 years after their first meeting, for 5 grueling rounds, they traded punches at a pace only champions can survive. Max poured on volume, Dustin threw bombs, and neither man took a step back. When it was over, Dustin dropped to his knees, tears pouring as years of pain, doubt, and blood came rushing out.
Feel real!
Man, this feels amazing. I feel like I'm in a dream right now. I just beat one of the pound-for-pound best in the world. To be the best, you gotta beat the best. I'm the champ, man. This is a piece of the world title. This is what I want. I want to unify this belt with the best. Right now, I'm the champ.
25 minutes, paid in full, he said, clutching the belt. For that night, the Diamond was a champion, but the real prize was still out there, the undisputed title, and standing in his way was the undefeated legend, Khabib Nurmagomedov. In September 2019, Poirier faced the undefeated champion, Khabib Nurmagomedov, in a unification bout in Abu Dhabi. Poirier entered as a heavy underdog against Khabib's smothering wrestling, but Dustin nearly did the impossible. He locked in a guillotine choke that had the entire arena standing and gasping, but Khabib survived, escaped, and minutes later made Poirier tap.
Under the chin, there's the tap! Khabib Nurmagomedov, 28-0!
He left the cage crushed, in tears, but earned respect from everyone watching, including Khabib himself, who raised funds for Dustin's charity. Khabib and Dana each donated $100,000 to Poirier's Good Fight Foundation, raising $260,000 for the charity, turning a painful loss into a positive impact.
If anything adversity's taught me in the past, is when times are good, be grateful. And when times like this, be graceful.
But Dustin wasn't done chasing his professional dreams just yet. He took some time off after the Khabib fight to recover from a nagging hip injury that required surgery. He returned in June 2020 in a Fight of the Year candidate against Dan Hooker, which Dustin won via decision after surviving an onslaught in the early rounds, showing his veteran savviness and impressive gas tank.
Dustin the Diamond Poirier!
And then the biggest star in mixed martial arts history crossed paths with Poirier for the second time, giving him an opportunity to rewrite history. 7 years after Conor McGregor humiliated Dustin Poirier, they faced off again. But this wasn't the old Dustin. He had matured, and to his credit, it looked like Conor himself had matured too during the build-up to their second fight. Conor wanted to try Dustin's hot sauce, donate to his charity, and do everything else a good man is supposed to do. It was uncharacteristic of him, since Conor had always been either the villain or the anti-hero in any of his fights. When fight night arrived, the Diamond crippled the notorious Irishman with calf kicks, and became the first and only person to knock out McGregor throughout his entire career.
Poirier has knocked out Conor McGregor!
McGregor wanted revenge now, and Poirier was given a choice. Either fight for the belt and make much less money, or fight Conor a third time, and it's, well, red panties night.
We're rich, baby. Conor McGregor made us rich. Break out the red panties. We're rich, baby.
Poirier chose the latter, and this time around Conor was no longer playing Mr. Nice Guy. He was back in full villain mode.
In 16 hours time, this man is gonna learn that if you disrespect a person's kindness and take it as a weakness, you must pay.
And the feud was filled with trash talk.
Your wife is your husband.
A few months later, in their third fight, Dustin dominated again. And it ended via doctor stoppage when Conor's leg broke at the end of the first round. Poirier was awarded the TKO.
K.O. Dustin the Diamond!
McGregor was still shouting insults, bitter on the canvas.
To close the distance. This is not over.
The bad blood was palpable. Even with Conor down injured, he taunted Poirier from the canvas with the now infamous shout.
Your wife is in me DMs, hey baby, hit me back on my chat till later on.
But Dustin calmly smiled and said, "Karma's a mirror," a reference to McGregor leaving the arena on a stretcher after he'd promised to put Dustin in a coffin. The kid from Lafayette had grown into a man. He didn't need to trash talk, he just let his actions speak. Dustin's rivalry with Conor was finally settled, and it was his redemption. Dustin winning the trilogy was poetic justice, and proved that technique and persistence trumped trash talk any day of the week. With the McGregor chapter closed, Poirier turned his attention back to the title. At UFC 269, in December 2021, he got another chance, this time against Charles Oliveira. In another high-stakes battle, Dustin started strong, knocking Oliveira down and nearly finishing him in the first round. But the crafty Oliveira rallied, and in round 3 he latched onto Poirier's back and secured a standing rear naked choke, forcing Dustin to tap. It was Poirier's second failed attempt to claim the undisputed lightweight title. Once again, heartbreak followed, and his dream was slipping further and further away. Dustin didn't make any excuses though. He admitted it hurt to fall short again, but promised to keep pushing. Undeterred by the title loss, he was still a top contender. In November 2022, he had a blood and guts bout against Michael Chandler. It was a chaotic fight. At one point, Chandler broke Poirier's nose and even fishhooked Poirier's mouth while attempting a takedown, a foul that had Dustin fuming. But Poirier's composure under fire paid off. He reversed Chandler in the third round and made him tap with a rear naked choke, adding another highlight to his reel. This win asserted that Dustin was still one of the best lightweights in the world. By mid-2023, Poirier sought another big challenge and found it in a rematch with Justin Gaethje. The two fan favorites headlined UFC 291 in July for the BMF belt. In their 2018 fight, Poirier had prevailed. But in 2023, Gaethje evened the score in dramatic fashion. He knocked Poirier out with a head kick knockout in round 2, a mirror of the same kick that Dustin's idol Crow Cop famously used, leaving Poirier dazed on the canvas. Ever gracious, Poirier congratulated Gaethje and hinted that he'd go back to the drawing board. At 34, Dustin was still near the top of the division, but we all wondered how many wars he had left. This fight earned Poirier yet another Fight of the Night bonus, underscoring the fact that he brought excitement to every single card he fought in. Following the loss, Poirier took some time off. By 2024, he remained hungry for the one piece of hardware missing from his resume, the undisputed lightweight championship. But having lost both his previous title opportunities and also coming off a devastating knockout loss against Gaethje, he really needed to earn another title shot. In March 2024, Poirier fought down the rankings against a young and hungry prospect, Benoit Saint-Denis, who was ranked at number 12. Many people picked Benoit to win the fight, with him even being the betting favorite. But Poirier came out with a vintage "y'all must have forgot" type performance and knocked him out clean in round 2. And it was after this that the UFC brass gave him one final shot at the goal.
I got a lot of respect for Benoit Saint-Denis, his mindset, his grit. He's a tough guy, and if he chooses to, he'll be back, no doubt about it.
On June 1st, Dustin Poirier walked toward the Octagon in his final opportunity to win the undisputed lightweight title, the seemingly unstoppable, dominant heir to Khabib's throne. For Dustin, this was it, the third and final shot. In the lead-up, he said,
That at all, outside of this.
I don't have that at all. I feel like I've checked all the boxes except undisputed. That's a box I want checked. And that's a box all these other boxes got checked by me chasing that.
It was 25 minutes for eternity. He knew that winning the title now, after 17 years in the fight game, would be the culmination of a lifetime of hard work. The fight was razor close. Dustin had moments, and as usual, his hands landed clean. He pushed Islam harder than many expected, but deep into the 5th and final round, a slick ankle pick from Islam out of nowhere led to a Bravo choke on Dustin that eventually made him tap.
Islam Makhachev with a submission in round 5. The throne remains in Mahaskala.
Another title fight, another submission loss, and still no belt. But this time felt different. There were no tears, just grace. He'd given everything and left nothing behind.
First, and what am I fighting for? To be the champion again? You know, will I ever get that shot even if I go on a streak? I don't know.
And in that moment, Dustin began to accept something that he'd never wanted to hear. maybe this chapter is done. And truth be told, MMA fans didn't need to see Dustin as the undisputed champion. He was already a legend in everyone's eyes. We loved him for his heart and the way he carried himself. After coming up short against Makhachev, Poirier pondered retirement. He was now 36 years old, and he had been through countless battles. Yet the competitor in him didn't want to go out on a loss. Poirier campaigned for one last fight, a swan song in his home state of Louisiana. In 2025, with a second child on the way, Dustin made a decision. One final fight in his home state in front of his people. The opponent was his longtime rival Max Holloway, and the BMF title was on the line. This was the third meeting between the Diamond and Holloway, and Poirier won the first two. The arena was packed, buzzing to see Poirier fight one final time. The fight was a back-and-forth 5-round war. He got dropped, but he also dropped Max. He even jumped for one last guillotine with seconds left in one round, because of course he did. When the dust settled, the decision went to Holloway, but the crowd didn't care. Poirier laid his gloves in the center of the octagon. Max raised his hand. The fans rose to their feet. It wasn't a fairy tale ending, but it didn't need to be.
Such a great experience, man. I want to thank Dana, the UFC, for giving a kid a platform to make something of his life and use this as a vehicle to get my family into a safe place.
It was an ending worthy of a husband, father, and community leader. Poirier never became undisputed champion, but he did something more impressive. He gave fight fans around the world battles we will never forget as long as we live. He never quit. That's why his legacy outlasts the belt. Sure, he had the skills, a southpaw sniper with crisp boxing, ripping nasty hooks to the body, overhand lefts to the head. He'd stun even iron-chinned warriors like Max Holloway with sheer punching power. But more than technique, Dustin had that dog in him. If a fight turned into a firefight, Poirier never backed down. He thrived in chaos. That's why he tied the UFC record with 10 Fight of the Night bonuses and walked away with 15 post-fight awards. Few fighters in history delivered as many must-watch wars. His cardio, his chin, his will. That's why Joe Rogan once called him one of the most violent and entertaining lightweights we've ever seen. And when the dust settled, Dustin retired as the greatest UFC fighter to never win an undisputed title. But that label sells him short, because his resume stacks up with the very best. If you were in the top 5, you had to go through the Diamond, and most of the time you left bloodied and battered. But what truly made Dustin special wasn't just what he did in the Octagon, it was what he did outside of it. In 2018, him and Jolie founded the Good Fight Foundation, turning fight purses and memorabilia into water wells in Uganda, school supplies for kids in Louisiana, and hope for families in need. Fans loved him not just because he bled for them in the cage, but because he gave back when the lights were off. He was humble in victory, gracious in defeat, and always fought for something bigger than himself. Dustin Poirier's story was never about a belt. It was about heart, pride, and legacy. He paid the cost to be the boss, and left the Octagon with something a belt could never give him: the respect of everyone who ever followed the sport, and a legacy written in blood, sweat, and tears. And all three of those were shared with his final opponent, Max Blessed Holloway. Check out the documentary we produced on Max Holloway's life and career by clicking the video on your screen. We'll see you there.